Hey everybody, IcyCat here. It's time for the next walkthrough for the new map, Border. This building has lots of twists and turns in it, and you can find yourself getting lost if you don't know where to go. If you want to know all the best spots to defend or push in as the attacking team, then you'll want to stick around and check out all the tips and tricks next. So this is the map walkthrough for Border. Now if you've never seen one of my map walkthroughs before, I'll explain to you the way this is set up. This is broken up into sections, and you can see the timing for where you can find the relevant sections if you're looking for a certain one down in the comments below the video player. First, we'll start off with the attacker spawn positions and breaking down where those are and what they grant you access to. From there, we'll go ahead and cover the camera positions where you can find them interior and exterior. Next up, we'll do the trapdoor position so that you know where those are all located in the level. After that, we'll do the general map walkthrough where we take sort of a tour of everything in the map, and I'll try to explain some good vantage points that you can get by breaching through surfaces and different angles that you can find. After the general map walkthrough, we'll also do partial breaches and cluster charge sections so that you know the best places to kind of drop down on some targets from above. After that, we'll do the defender spawn positions so that you know the best areas to set up in the objective positions. Then we'll move on to the drone vent spots, as well as tips and tricks for where you can put your drones for some interesting cover points you may not have already considered. As I do the map walkthrough, you'll notice that I've got a new skin on my weapon. This is the Saltire skin, and it is available for all SAS weapons only, as it has the Great Britain flag, or the Union Jack, whatever you want to call it, that's placed on there. I've gotten corrections both ways when I've said it before, but that is wrapped on the side of the weapon there. You will also see that if I switch to any of the other weapons for the SAS, they will have that as well. Okay, let's get started. Let's begin by taking a look at the attacker spawn positions. We'll start with the first one on the list, and that's the east vehicle entrance over here, and we're going to begin by coming down the covered walkways. We have a couple of different ways we can go. We can shoot off to the right here, and this is going to take us over to the side of the building, which will put us into the back of the teller's room. If we come through the window, that will put us into that back area. We can also breach through the side wall and get in on the exterior of the shell in that way. Alternatively, we can also rappel right up to the top of the roof, or we can come in on the balcony. If we come in on this side of the balcony, this is going to put us in the back of the office section. So if we have an objective in this room, we can come through the wall or push through this window. Let's just get back down so we can check out our other routes out of this spawn section. Let's just double back over to the covered stairwell where we were before. So this is what happened when we came down to the right here. If we continued forward, now we could also come down this channel and wind up in the same position, or we can come over here and we've got the main entrance on this side. This takes us into the ground floor passport check area. From here you can push into the main atrium, and the objectives located on this level. We can also rappel up on this side of the building like we did over there, and on this side we will gain access to the back of the second floor break room, and through here it's an easy push into the security office. Alternatively, we can come over to these windows and knock these out. You don't want to jump in here. That's actually a nasty fall if you do, but it allows you to shoot across into the opposing walkway or down into the teller section below. We can also come around the balcony and wrap it around the other side. This will put us on the far side of the security room or the armory lockers over there. The next attacker spawn position is Valley. When we start over here, we've got a few options to work with. We can come down through the gate on the side here over by this APC. This will put us in a very similar position to where we just were. So again, we can take that top ledge there, get into the back of the security offices and the break room. Coming through the front here will put us over by the first floor passport check office. We can wrap around to the front of the building. This will link up with the other spawn position we'll get into next. We have this wall here. This is all wood. You can breach right through here, and doing so will put us right into the first floor detention cell, and from there it's just a short push into the supply area and customs section. Let's just step back out here again briefly, and we'll cover more of what's down there in the next spawn. But if we come up on the balcony here, that will put us into a pretty quick area to get into the back section of the security office, as well as the armory locker, which is just over there. Let's just double back over to the spawn position where we started and then show you what the other routes look like. So starting from here, alternatively, we could come over on this side and we have one of two options. We can go up to the top, or we can take this other trail down here through this covered section. And this is going to link us up with those covered stairs when we started in the east area and all the spawn access that grants you. But let's double back and check out this part. So we have a rubble ramp. And if you come up here, this puts us in the back of this HVAC unit. And you can engage some of the windows or doors from here if you wanted to. And it's a pretty fast push to get up onto these windows. You know, you can wrap this around and come in through. This is actually the east stair section here on the second floor if you wanted to come through that. And again, this will put you into the back of the second floor break room if you wanted to go through there. So that's a nice quick sprint up to the beginning of the building. Our third and final spawn position is going to be located over in the west vehicle exit area. And we have a few options coming through this one. You'll see right in front of us we have this double stacked structure of shipping crates and this ladder. If we come up on the top of the ladder and around the equipment here, we do have access to some of these side windows and doors. Well, really just the one up top there. And then if you get down low and you have maybe somebody with a good ACOG scope on that can see down into that door as the attackers breach, you can kind of provide some cover from this position if you wanted to. You can also just vault over the top of this and come down. So if you hadn't gone up there and you just proceeded forward, you'd navigate through this section of cars, and this will put us right to the front of the building. Well, at least on this side anyway. We do have our camera here and another one over there. We'll get to the camera section in a moment here, but as we push forward, we have the option of going up on the roof. Real quick, let's take a look at what that looks like, just so we can kind of show you, and I'll come back down to the door and cover that. If we come all the way up on the top of the roof, we have a lot of structures going on, and you know, it's a pretty cool layout, but there's only two major areas of interest. So let's start over here. We've got this dome-shaped structure, and you can't go in here, but what you can actually do is throw a grenade or a camera down in here. Right below us is the office. So I can throw this grenade in here, and you know, I'm not going to necessarily have real good control over where it lands, but I can throw a flashbang or smoke grenade, frag grenade, whatever in there. I can also toss a camera drone in here. Here, let me do that and show you what that looks like. So now I've just rapidly gotten a camera in there, and if we have an objective in this room, or maybe just near to this room and want to get in faster through that side, we could do that. So that's the first interesting feature on the roof. The other one is this structure over here, and you'll see that it has this broken open section, and what we can do with that, you can look over the edge and you can sort of see down into there a little bit, but it's pretty limited. You know, you're not really going to be getting much in the way of kills doing that, but what you can do is actually rappel over the side of this atrium opening, and then you can come down into the main structure this way and come all the way down if you wanted to. Alternatively, if for some reason you were in the structure and wanted to get back up again, you can do that from the inside as well. And this entire wall section here is breachable. We'll get to that later, though. Just kind of wanted to show you what the roof access looked like. And you can get onto the roof from any side of the building. So let's come back over to where we were before. We'll just fast rappel down the side. And coming up from the west vehicle exit area, this would be the main door that I was approaching. So coming through into this door is going to put us right in line with the workshop, which is, I'm sorry, not the workshop, the server room, which was right in front of us. Off to the side of that, we have the ventilation room. You can also push through this window and come into the room from that side. We have on this side also the central stairs, so we have the choice of going up or kind of going around this whole section. We'll get into that more in the walkthrough portion of the video. And we can also wrap around the side here, which presents us with some other options. If we come over here, we've got this covered section, this like toll bridge or checkpoint, what have you, and you can't really rappel up here. But what you can do is, you'll note this bus here has a ladder on the side, and you can actually climb up this ladder. And then one more jump will get you up here. So now you can get behind these HVAC units and sort of use these for cover. This window is actually the side entrance to the second floor archives. And so this is a way that you could come in through here. Not many people do, at least I don't see them use this window entry as much as the other ways in. You can also come down further on the bus, and now you can cover this window, which is going to be the back of the second floor armory lockers. This is the one where there's the lockers on either side of the window. That would be that one. or you could provide some cover onto the ventilation window. And there is sometimes a bomb objective in that room, or somebody will set up a position there to wait for someone, so you could provide cover to that window if you wanted to. Not super useful, but, you know, just good to know that the option is there. Let's take a look at our camera positions as they would be approaching from the exterior west section. And the first one is going to be on this pole where the two corners meet on the cinder block wall here for the compound. This is going to allow a pretty decent view for the defenders if they're looking down this side road, across the corner, and over by the main door, as well as a little bit of that side alley. Now, coming from that camera position, if we just come down the side further down this road, we're going to find our next one. It's right behind kind of where this smoke plume is, with this burned out truck in the crash section. And it's just against the concrete wall. This is going to allow the defenders to see the upper balcony as well as the area below it. You can see the road and the side alley on this section. And if we trace back from that camera, let's go back over to that first one I showed you. And then we're going to see that our third and final exterior camera is actually directly across. It's against this far concrete wall over on the south side of the map. This would be where your gate is if you start in the valley spawn position for an attacker spawn, and it's just right up here. This camera will allow you to see the upper balcony on this side, as well as the corner where the cinder block wall is, and a little bit of the road on either side. As you can see, these cameras are laid out in something of a triangle and should be pretty easy to rapidly take out all of them if you want. Going inside the main building, we'll find our first exterior camera in the exit hallway for the first floor. This is just going to show the immediate vicinity of this hall. It will let you see anybody pushing in through the door, as well as someone coming in from the ventilation room on the side. It will also pan across and show you the central hallway entrance, as well as anybody that might be coming out of the doorway directly underneath the camera. The next interior camera is going to be located here in the first floor main lobby. So as you're actually in like the waiting room atrium area next to the teller windows, if you come through, it's going to be right on the other side of where this fire alarm is, just on the opposite side of the wall where the blue paneling is. This is going to allow the defenders to keep an eye on the back hall as well as the bathroom section where the door is for the tellers. We can pan across and see the workroom, as well as a little bit of the central hallway opening, and then into the main section of the first floor customs inspection area. Next up, coming over to the first floor east stairs, if we come up right on top of this flight of stairs in the corner, it's going to really just look over the stairs and the door that comes from the south balcony. It will also show you if anybody comes in through the north one, although that's a little bit more directly under it and such harder to see. So from that camera position, if we just track down the hall, right at the end here, up in the corner of the ceiling, is the next camera. And this is really just going to look right back on the other area where we just were. So it's going to look down that same hallway and give you an eye on anybody that might be coming out that side door from the break room or from the office section. You can also pan over and see the entrance to the armory, as well as the top of the second floor stairs that come up from the central staircase. Now let's take a look at the trapdoors that we have in this map. We have 5 total. The first 2 are going to be found in the second floor security room. And if we open up the floor in this area, this will drop us down into a really wide open area in the customs inspection room below us. And initially you might wonder why you would do that. What this is actually more useful for is to control the room from a vantage point, not necessarily drop down into it. You could engage by shooting this wall if there's anybody in there. You can see right back into the corner, pretty deep into that side. Come over here, you can see into this corner. You can also see a little bit into the supply room and the detention cell area and engage, maybe something through the wall here. So this is more about controlling from above than it is dropping down into, although you could do that if you wanted. Maybe a more appropriate area to drop down is this other trapdoor on this side. And if we open that up, you can see that this is just in that little area right off to the side of the inspections room, and you can certainly drop down into here, and this would allow you to maybe make a more stable position to drop into and engage anybody that might be in here, as long as there's not already a defender in the room. The third trapdoor is going to be located in the second floor offices. So if you come over here into the corner where we've got these desks and this overturned one, we've got this one on the floor. And right beneath us, we will find where we have the teller room. We've got a bomb objective in this example, and you could engage anybody that might be behind some of these desks over here. You do have a little bit of vulnerability if you try to skirt the edge of this, so what might be better is to actually vault over the top of this, and then you can engage more safely anything on the other side. The next trapdoor is going to be located in the second floor archives. So this one is going to be right behind the desk, which is just off to the side of the armory. And when we open up this one, we'll be able to see straight down into the workshop below us. We have a little bit of a limited field of view because a lot of that room is off to the side over there, but we can keep an eye on anything that's sort of happening in this back corner at least and lock it down. And of course you can drop down below. From here, the final trapdoor is going to be located in the second floor armory lockers area just off the side in the armory desk room. This is a very small room, and it has the last trapdoor, and what I think is probably the most interesting one, because you can use this as an attacker or as a defender very effectively. So you'll note that this trap door will allow us to see right into this door here. So if you're a defender and you're set up down below in the server room and you want to get the drop on anybody pushing in through that exterior door, this might be a really great place to do it. You even have some other options. You could also come over on this side as a defender, and then what's generally going to happen is an attacker might push up here quickly, but then they'll kind of take their time edging around here because they, can get shot from a few different angles, so they might go a little slower there. And if you're here waiting, they're not going to expect you to shoot them from above. When they come in through that door, they could see you, possibly if they look up right here. But if you're in this other position instead, they may not even be aware that you're there until you take a shot at them. Another thing that you can do as a defender is you can actually drop down on top of this wall, and then you can get crouched, or you can even go prone. And what this allows you to do is now you can actually see that door, and if they come through, you can get the drop on them, and they're not going to necessarily expect you to be up on this angle when they come through. Initially, you're only going to be able to hit their feet, but as they run in, you'll be able to line up a headshot pretty quickly and take them out. And it's just sort of a nasty surprise as a defender to use a trapdoor in this way, and it's pretty effective. Now let's take a look at our general map walkthrough. This is going to give us a little bit more detailed tour and check out some of the angles we can hit. I will be talking a little quickly through here, so we'll try to just cover as much information as we can, so forgive me if I talk too fast. But we're going to begin on this side of the building. We're going to push into the first floor exit hallway. One thing to be aware of is you have this side window here, and you can be hit from that. So if you've got tunnel vision as you push in on this door, you can be blitzed from the side. So use caution in that regard. We've got a camera right up above us here, and when we come in, we have a choice of a few different directions we can go. We've got the server room straight ahead of us, the central stairs over to the right, and this smaller room here. This is the first floor ventilation room. We can come in through this window. This is another area that you can breach into to get in here. There is sometimes an objective in this room, and you can use these as cover points or whatever you need to do. This wall over here on the side is fully breachable, and that puts us through to the server room. We'll go over there next. So come around here. So going forward puts us into the server room. This is where we were before, talking about the trapdoor that gets you on top of the server rack here if you wanted to do that. Another thing you could do is get on top of this desk and crouch down kind of low and really get the drop on anybody coming through. What makes that sort of effective is that as somebody comes around this corner, they're going to be looking at, these two openings, and they're going to be a little bit more worried about those and not as worried about this side. So you can hit them from the side, and again, they could come around the corner immediately on you, but it's just like, talking about likelihood, they're probably going to be a little bit more worried about what they're going to expose to here. We have another covered desk over here, a half point of cover anyway, that you can get behind. But something that you can do that's pretty useful is you can breach this wall intentionally and get a good murder hole on that door we just came through. So if anybody breaks that, you'll already have the drop on them pretty effectively. And what's more, you're covered from the side. If anybody hits through that window over there, there's this metal bookshelf that's sort of in the way. It gives you a little bit of protection. Let's just come through the back here, and this gives us our first floor workshop now. You'll see that any wall that has this texture, this is like, drywall backing with this sort of writing on it. These are all breachable walls. So, you can come through these in any way that you want to. So this wall here, all of these walls that kind of wrap around, there's lots of these. Another interesting feature in this room is these little openings up near the ceiling. We've got one there. We've got another one up here. They're kind of all over the place. We've got another one up on the ceiling there. We've got a couple here. And what these are really great for is if you toss a grenade through these, now what you can do is you can create destruction inside the room without having exposed yourself to, getting the incoming fire while you do so. So you can toss a flashbang in here, or a smoke grenade, or whatever it is you want to do, and you didn't expose yourself to get that thrown in there. And they're just kind of scattered over a few places, so keep an eye out for those. So let's come back down this hallway. Oh, before we do, just cover this a little bit. There's this little desk over here in the corner. You can use this as a sort of half cover to engage from this position, or you can even get down low and kind of like let people pass you if they're going to go into the workshop, and then you can kind of hit them from the side as they do so, or something like that. We have another camera up above us here, and let's just kind of come through here. So this corner room is going to be the first floor bathroom. Not a whole lot goes on here, but as an attacker, you could put, say, like a breaching charge on the wall, and then you could use this half wall here as sort of a cover point to engage from, and keep yourself a little bit safe while you do that. Coming through this area, we have the first floor teller section. This has a wall that will breach to the exterior shell like we talked about under the attacker spawn position, and this window that we can come through. If you push through that window, you can get right behind this vending machine and sort of use that as a cover point. If you're a defender, you might be using instead this wall and desk as your cover point to give yourself some good cover from. All of these wooden walls are fully breachable, so those can all be broken through, as can this one in the corner. We also have these glass panes. These are not bulletproof glass. You can shoot through these and break these. It takes just a couple of shots or a single melee hit. Even just a drone jumping through it will break it. So you've also got some cover points here that you could use. You've got a trapdoor up above to worry about. This is frequently an objective room. Just real quick, this is also puts us on the other side of that workshop. That was just wood on this side, but drywall on the opposite side. So now let's come over here. We've got this section that sort of wraps around. Think of this as just like a giant square. We've got the inspection office in there, or we can come down here, and this is the central stairs, and just one big square around that room. And I want to just come back here because this is the other direction we could have gone when we came in here. We could have gone to the right, and this is the central stairs and the hallway that takes us over to the workshop. We've got, now as we come into the inspections area, we've got this little desk room. We can breach through any of the, come on now, we can breach through any of the walls in here, and any of these wooden walls can be breached. Let's just kind of step in here for a second. This is the first floor detention area. We can break that open, and gives us the exterior access again, so you could push through as an attacker. You do have this opening up here that you could toss a grenade through, but I find that to be limited use because there's not often somebody in here. Let's come across here into the first floor supply room. So this is an interesting room because this is where that window looks over the side of that door I was telling you about. So you could hit the attackers from the side here if they're not careful, and set up a trap if you wanted to. You can also use any of the breachable walls here to your advantage to set up like little murder holes looking down that hallway, or you can keep an eye on the top of the stairs here. You can also make one here and kind of look at the back of it. Anybody that tries to go into the server room and sort of hit them from behind, that's also valid. This is also a good spot to maybe throw a C4 and then from the other side watch it with a Valkyrie camera and sort of set it off as they come into the blast radius of it. Stepping back into the customs inspection area, we have these sorting bin zones. You can get behind these. These are full metal, so you will not be shot through them, and they make good cover, as does the X-ray machine. You can't get shot through that either. One thing to be aware of, though, is that the X-ray machine does have this metal detector here, and you will set it off as you come through. It doesn't matter. You can shoot it all you want. You cannot break it. You'll set it off when you come through here. The only thing that won't set it off is like you can't do it back to back immediately after having set it off. You also have these speakers up here. So if the announcer is getting on your nerves, feel free to shoot those. The announcer will shut up and you will have quiet. This whole side wall can be breached. We can open up a murder hole here on this door. Let's come around and take a look at that. So this is where we were before. Workshop, tellers over there. This is the first floor waiting room. And now this is the first floor passport check room. This is a popular area. This is one of the main entryways if you're coming through from the valley spawn, for instance. You'll come over here, nice double door coming in. This is where we created that hole to the inspections room, so you could get them from the side there. You could also do things, like kind of being down low here or laying down there. Because this wall is breachable, you could also create, some kind of a murder hole here and get them from the side. Although you're pretty vulnerable here. You've got the area from above that you could get repelled onto. You could get it from, any of these openings. You're really a sitting duck out here. So one alternative thing you could do that's kind of interesting is the backing of this desk is all wood. And you can shoot through here and make a murder hole. And if we break this computer, actually just sort of get rid of some of this debris in our way. So now we've got this nice hole that we can shoot through. And you can see it's kind of easy to overlook that because it just sort of blends in with everything else happening in the back of the desk. And it's just a really great way to get the drop on somebody coming through this door. You can also do that over here on this other side, but there's more monitors in your way, so you'd have to go in and break those. But you could do that. Okay, so first floor waiting room. This is, again, we've got tellers over here. We can come through that wall. We can come through this wall. And then this sort of wraps around here. If you wanted to, you could use these as a cover point to defend anybody. If somebody comes down these rappel lines, you could really get the drop on them pretty good here. But they could also hit you as well, so just be aware of that. And then finally, we have the stairs here. These are the first floor east stairs, and these go up to the top of the second floor. Now let's actually begin the second part of our walkthrough upstairs by coming over from the valley attacker spawn. So coming in on this door right off the top of the roof there that we crossed is going to put us into the back of the second floor break room. And this is an interesting position because you have a lot of walls in here that are dynamically breachable. You've got this one on the side, all of these, all of those. The only wall that is not breachable is this back cinder block wall. So that opens up a lot of opportunities for you. So here's some things to think about when you come into this room. If you come in this way and there's anybody standing over on the side there, they're going to be able to get the drop on you pretty fast. So you might want to come into the room crouched, and that way you're at least partially protected from that. Now, one thing you can do as a defender, if you want to get the drop on somebody that's trying to do that, is if you stand right here, get this vault, and then you can come up one more time on top of, let's just get rid of this TV here. You can actually crouch on top of this refrigerator. And even if they're crouched, you'll be able to still headshot them as they come in. It's an interesting spot because nobody's going to think to look for you. Even if they come in here with a drone, and they check to make sure, okay, like, oh, there's nobody there. Oh, yeah, there's nobody here. Okay, cool. And then they come in, but, like, they didn't look up and see you up there. And, yeah, when you're on that drone, you can look up and see somebody there. But it's just, a spot that they may not think to check for. You can also, get behind this counter and sort of use this to engage anybody that might be coming through. Because these walls are all breachable, they're very useful for creating cover points with murder holes. So I can make one here, and now I can watch into the hallway that leads into those back offices very effectively. Also, this entire wall is breachable, and from here, I could, let's just open this down to the floor. I could keep suppression on these windows for the teller's room down below, or, if somebody's opened up a hole in this wall or breached a hole in this wall, I can suppress through there and just sort of keep them pinned down, which is really kind of useful. And this works also when you're rappelling down this wall here. So as you rappel down this wall in the atrium, you can, punch through any of these and get into this section from the other side. Other things that you can be aware of in here is this vending machine is kind of useful. You can sort of hide behind here and get the drop on somebody as they come through, because when you push in, you're going to be watching that door and this one. And by the time you think about this one, you've probably already exposed yourself to whoever's there. This wall can be used if you wanted to keep some suppression on the back armory locker section. You could suppress from this spot if you wanted to. You can also come up here and create, get out of my way, computer, create a spot where you can look down on anybody that comes in. And so that's sort of like over by the vending machine, but now you're elevated if you wanted to do that. Or you could create one down here at ground level too. The second floor security room, not a lot of breachable surfaces in here. You can use this desk as good cover to keep an eye on both the window and the door at the same time and give yourself good cover. You could also do the reverse angle if you're thinking they're going to be pushing through here instead. So on the other side of this door is where we have the spot. So if you were an attacker and your objective was in the armory locker room, you know, you'd come through here. And as you do so, you can sometimes have a bit of a blind eye to this wall. So you're focused on this, you're coming around here, and it's really easy to miss if somebody's set up and kind of waiting for you. You know, maybe they have a murder hole going on, you know, well, maybe it's a little deeper, so it's a little less obvious. There we go. You know, and they're just waiting for you to come through there. That's definitely something you can do. This other wall is also breachable, and we can keep an eye on that reverse angle down that hallway, so that would allow us to see to the second floor stairs landing where we ended our previous walkthrough. And we can, let's just kind of go down in that direction and take a look at that real quick. So when we were covering the first floor, this is where we stopped when we were looking up these stairs here. So now this is just where that kind of comes out, is up here with the camera. And then we've got these doors that lead to the north or the south balconies respectively. And you can get in there. Coming through into this section, we've got this overlook, so we can, you know, watch what's going on down there. We can catch anybody that might be trying to rappel here. These walls here and here can be breached if you wanted to set something up there. Coming in here, we also have the offices room. Real quick, let me touch on something. So we've got these wooden lattice works just all over the place. You can actually throw a grenade right through these. Again, throw the grenade. There we go. And that'll go on the other side and detonate over there, so you can kind of, you know, get some grenades tossed in without necessarily worrying about exposing yourself. And in this case, we've opened up the trapdoor. Like we talked about before, in the offices here, this wall is breachable from the exterior, so you could get out onto the outer walkway using that. We also have, let's just vault this desk instead of risking that. Okay. We also have this wall that divides this section, which can be breached, maybe making a murder hole to defend from this side. That way, if they pushed through this window from the walk-around balcony and came around the corner, they might, you know, get it from that hole. We also can push in on any of these walls. Any walls that have this texture on them can be breached. Over on the side here. Oh, and also any of the walls that, or any of the floors that have this tile texture can be breached through to the area below as well. We'll talk more about that in a moment. In this room, wherever we have this wooden texture that has this like green paint, that can be breached. So we can make a hole here and kind of check out what's going on in that next section. We can also, you know, watch the top of the stairs here and get anybody as they come up the top. Both of these walls are breachable. So this is the archives room. This is the wall that we just shot through a minute before. And the next area is the armory section. You know, you can create, you know, spots in here to overlook this room if you wanted to. Over here is that side window that we were talking about in the spawn section where they could come up from, or the wraparound balcony here as well. There is an interesting little spot here. If you position this just right, this computer has to be here. But if you've broken it, so you're probably not going to get up here. But if you get up here just right, and then one more time, well, let's see, we didn't have the angle just quite right there. Let's try to. Sometimes it's a little fickle to get yourself lined up. You can actually get. Of course, it's not cooperating now, and I'm trying to do it, but. There we go. You can get up on top of this bookshelf, and then if the objective is in that room there, you can really surprise them by just shooting through here, you know, and they're not going to expect you up in this little section, and you'll definitely pick off a couple of guys if the objective is in there. You can toss grenades through there, whatever you want to do. This is a little spot that I wouldn't be surprised if they fixed that so you couldn't do that in future versions. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point that no longer functioned that way, but we'll see. Coming through into the armory room, this has got a lot of hard metal surfaces in it, so they can be used for hardcover points that can't be shot through. This is the back window that overlooks this section of the white bus that we were talking about. In the back corner here, we have this hard cover point. It's like a half wall. And we have this exterior shell, so we can make a murder hole here and catch attackers maybe as they come in. When the attackers do come in, they have this wall that they can shoot through and try to catch somebody in here. Of course, that works both ways. Defender could be set up in here and just sort of ready and waiting for them to come through. And so that works both ways. This trapdoor is pretty useful because, well, here, I'm Sledge. Because you can break this, and then if you find yourself pinned down in this room for any reason, you can just drop down and then kind of run back around and up the stairs and then flank them from behind. And so that can be kind of useful. This section here is another metal detector. So again, you cannot shoot these to disable them. Like, they will still make that tone and go off. So if you're listening for that tone, you can hear that and know they're approaching. We also have this little window off on the side here, which can be very useful for a variety of reasons, which I will show you when we get to the defender section, and that will be coming up. And then to kind of end it all off, so we tie this together, this is that L-shaped hallway, which brings us back around to the second floor break room, or to the top of the second floor stairs landing where we stopped our walkthrough from the first time. Let's take a look at some of our breaching points now. We've got a lot of areas where you can just use destructibility to your advantage. And one that I like to do is in the second floor main hallway coming into the office here. If you hit this floor right here, now you've got a really excellent line of sight into the back door of the teller's room. And if any defenders try to pop out here, you can get the drop on them pretty quickly. Or you could even reverse play this. You could come up here as a defender and set up so that when the attackers pushed on this door, you could hit them, and you would just have to be aware that your back is exposed. Maybe have somebody up with you to watch it, but you could sort of play that from both perspectives. And so any of the flooring in here can be busted. So if you wanted to open up the tile floor beneath, you could do so and see into that room. So this is the back half of the teller's room. Over here is where we've got our trap door, but any of these wooden floors, we could just go ahead and pop these open pretty effectively and, get some other lines of sight into there if that trap door wasn't working for some reason. These are also great for not just Sledge's breaching hammer, but also for breaching charges, or cluster charges are really effective in these areas. Now let's come over into here. If we wanted to keep an eye on anything happening in the server room, for instance, there we go. So, you can see into the server room if you've got anybody set up in there. If we come into the security room, we can also get some pretty good vantage points going straight down. So, these are some angles if they're kind of hiding behind the scanning equipment or in the sorting bin areas here. Workshop in the basement can be a little hard to dig them out of. So if we set this charge here, and then check that out, this will fill this whole back part of the room, and anybody hiding, sort of like behind the countertops or the debris piles back here is going to get pretty lit up. And you can do that for any of the sections in this room. So right above us is the archives here. If you wanted to instead fill up this other corner, you would just go a little deeper into the archives or even into the corner of the office there a little bit. Right here on the ground where you have all the marks in the floor, if we set off a breaching charge there, we're going to open up this corner of the room, and we're going to be able to really kind of control this half of the inspection office. So let's come over and place this cluster charge on the floor. This is right over by where this cable ramp sort of is, and set that off. And now as we see down here, we've got just a ton of destruction everywhere and really, incinerated this whole section of the room. Now let's take a look at some of our defensive spawn positions. So we're going to start with bombs, and in the first one we've got the customs inspection office and the supply room for bomb A over there. And let's just take a look at some of the things that we can do. So we've got these metal tables that we can use for sort of half cover. If we create a murder hole here, we can keep a good eye on this door. And you could, of course, reinforce that too, but that's just a way to get a drop on anybody right as they come through the door. Otherwise, definitely reinforce these walls if you're not going to do that, or even just reinforce the ones you're not going to use by doing so. Go ahead and throw up your standard wooden barricades. And you can use this office to keep an eye on anybody as they push through this door, and then you can sort of, drop to the side if you need to get out of the line of fire. I would definitely recommend putting some reinforcement panels on this wall, the back of the first floor detention center, because they can push right from the outer shell into your objective zone, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. And if we come through into the supply room, we've got a lot of neat little things that we can do here. So, we can create some murder holes here, and keep an eye on them as they might come in from some various angles. Whatever we think they're likely to do, we can create those sections. One thing I really like setting up, though, is we've got this window here which comes off just to the side of that door, and if you want, you can do you can shoot out one of these panels and kind of get the drop on them that way. But another thing you can do is actually go ahead and place one of these C4 charges on there, and when you come around on these walls, as long as you have an unbroken surface, you almost can't hear that C4 at all over there. And what I like to do is maybe come out and throw a camera up there right away, and let's just take a look and see what that's like. So I've got this vantage point right here that I'm watching, and right when I see somebody next to that window, whether they're going to come in that window or whether they're going to come in this door, I'll go ahead and I'll detonate that C4 charge. And let me just back up a little bit on that. And if they're standing right here, that's going to take them out, and it's pretty effective. You could also do that with a smoke grenade or something like that too, but they'd have to kind of breach that first for it to be effective. But those are definitely some things that you can sort of do to set some traps for them. The next bomb position we have will be located in the first floor workshop and the ventilation room for bomb B. So over here in bomb A, let's go ahead and set up some reinforcement panels on all of these drywall textured walls. Pretty much as many of these as we can, which is going to use up most of the ones that you have, but that will shore up these walls very effectively. Another thing that you can do is you can send somebody up to reinforce that trapdoor if you want. Be aware of that. This wall over here, I wouldn't worry about reinforcing as much, and the reason for that is that you have a couple of useful murder holes you can make. We talked about this in the general walkthrough, but you can make one here and just be ready for anybody that comes through that door. I've barricaded this door, but you could leave that open and then just wait for them to actually come through the main door. I've also created a cross murder hole here that will keep an eye on this window, because all they have to do is come into that window and they're right on top of bomb B already. Conversely, I've also placed a camera in that room right here, so I can keep an eye on anything that's happening in there. And I've also got a camera out here in this main hallway, and I've got one looking at the side entrance for the workshop, and another one that's just in the bathroom here. So that way, if they try to use thermite and cut through those reinforcement walls, I can keep an eye on what's going on that side. Jaeger is useful in this room in particular because you do have these grenade breaches, so he can put up his ADS units and stop anybody from tossing grenades through there. We can also create this reverse murder hole that we talked about during the walkthrough, where you can catch them as they sort of come in through this door and hit them from the backside, which they may not be expecting. And the other thing that we talked about during the general walkthrough, as well as the trapdoor section, is that this trapdoor up here is super useful. You can go ahead and preemptively open this and get the drop on them as they come through the door, coming around the other side, getting them as they kind of come around this corner, or also you can actually drop down on top of the server itself and then just try to hit them as they actually punch through that main exterior door. The third defender site for the bombs is going to be located in the first floor tellers and bathroom. So bomb B will be here in the first floor teller room. You do have a trapdoor up above you to worry about. You also are going to want to reinforce this wall in particular. I can also recommend throwing a camera maybe out against that wall there. You can kind of see what angle that looks like, so we can at least get an eye on them as they push on that window. And we've got another camera up here in this corner. Let's scroll through these the other way. So that's this camera in this position, keeping an eye on that. Coming around here, we're going to want to reinforce every wall in this room. That's going to take up most of your team's reinforcement panels, but go ahead and use them up. Leave this one unreinforced. I'll explain why in a minute. And then go ahead and reinforce these 3. And I've stuck a camera right on the bomb here. It's a blue light. It's not a red light, but if people are maybe, not paying a lot of attention, they could, just think it's a light that's supposed to be on the bomb and not really pay a lot of attention to it. It does gain the advantage of sort of taking on the lighting of the rest of the bomb. So, if you're coming in here quickly, not paying a lot of attention, it doesn't necessarily jump out at you. Unless you're on it and then the giant blue light is on, then you might be in a bit of trouble. But just, something that you could do. So the other thing is that you've got, okay, so this wall here, if they try to push in on the back of Bomb B and come at it through here, one thing you can do, leave this reinforced. Coming around the other side, I've got a nitrocell on this wall. I also have a camera watching this back section. So this is twofold. You don't know if they're going to come in from this side and try to break through the walls, or if they're going to come through this side and be in front of the walls. Well, if they try to break through the walls, they're probably going to see that C4 on the wall. But at least I've got a camera in here to keep an eye on what they're doing. If they don't come in this way, then that camera really doesn't get used. And instead, if they push in this way, I can use a combination of the cameras that I have. So I've got this one kind of keeping an eye this way, and I can put this in other positions. It doesn't have to be on the bomb, This could actually be kind of a bad spot, I don't know, but the other camera that will keep an eye on this spot is this one. And so either way, you can see when there's somebody that's in front of this door. So if you've got this barricaded up, or especially if you have like a castle reinforcement panel on here or something like that, all you have to do now is with this panel, the other side of this is your C4. And if you detonate this, and I'll just go ahead and blow it so you can see, it will take you out, no problem. So if you're trying to work on getting in that door, from the other side, you can blow that C4, and it doesn't make any sound on that side as long as there's no hole in the wall. Our fourth and final bomb position is going to be located in the second floor armory, locker room, and archives. And let's go ahead and reinforce all of these green walls, put the panels up on there, even on this one. And we can also do that little trick where if it'll let me get up there. There we go. And then you can keep an eye on them as they might try to come in through this window, get the drop on them. Or if they try to come in down this hall, you can sort of get them from up there. Also, you can be ready for them if they come through this door. They are probably not going to be expecting a shotgun blast from above their head, so that's a spot that you can get into and protect things from. Also, good idea to have a camera up there. I've kind of got it overlooking this entire room. I've got murder holes set up here. I've got one that's good for looking down this funneled area here on that angle, and then this one can be useful for looking through this way and keeping an eye on that door. Go ahead and reinforce this, maybe even a castle barricade, something like that. I've got a C4 charge on this wall, and that's because this is a very destructible wall, and I've got a camera that is keeping an eye on this section right here. That's in addition to the default camera that looks down that hallway right here, but we will just assume that that will probably be destroyed. So I've got a kind of a backup camera there watching that. And what it's going to do is when they come, I'm just going to pick this up so that I've got it with me, so you get the point. If it's sitting there, come on, come around the corner here, and you've got this wall barricaded up, or this door, and maybe it's even a castle barricade, and they've got to take a minute, place a breaching charge on it, whatever. Now you've got your charge on the other side of this wall. As long as there's no hole in this wall, that radio crackling noise does not get through on the other side. You can be touching the exact spot where the bomb is. As long as you're on the other side of a wall with no hole in it, you will never hear it. So when they come here and they try to put their breaching charge on this wall or do whatever they're going to do, sometimes there's a guy, sometimes there's even two guys, and that charge will take them out instantly, and you're just watching that with that camera. I've got a second camera set up over here, and that's watching this spot so that I can see as they come into this narrow space. This is a good funnel. So I've got this murder hole set up on the side, so as they come through, I can shoot them through that way. You can also engage them through this window. But one more interesting thing you can do through this window through the use of the C4 is, let's go ahead and plant it here. And you can see the blinking light is on this side of the window. And from this side, you really can't see it. It's super easy to miss. It just looks like another part of the level design. And it's interesting. This little hole in the bottom of the glass window doesn't count from an audio perspective purpose for transmitting the sound of the C4. It treats this panel as an entire solid material. This hole doesn't exist for purposes of sending that signal through. So as an attacker, when you come through this corridor, you do not hear that. You have no blinking light, you have no sound giving it away, and you also have the benefit as a defender of being able to see right through that panel and knowing when the attacker's on the other side. And we've also got our camera looking right on it. So, you know, we can be watching that, know right when the defender steps or the attacker steps right in front of it, and go ahead and set that off. And now anybody that's there will have been taken out. There's, even if they're all the way against this wall, they're still in the blast radius of that. So that's, you can actually have 2 nitro cells set up, 1, 2, and this is just becomes a killing minefield here. Let's go back over in the corner here. This is a good spot to set up. Let's reinforce this wall for sure, otherwise they will breach through there. I've got a camera set up above here so that as they try to do something, whether they try to cut through a thermite or you know, breach through more traditionally, I can keep an eye on what's going on there. And we've got a little murder hole set up here so that as the attacker comes through, they'll be hit. And you know, it's a pretty good spot to get them from. You just have to be aware that they can do it back to you, but you can really keep an eye on them as they try to push through that door. I've also got the trap door open on the floor so that I have a good escape route out. If I get pinned down in this room, I can just drop down, come up one of the flights of stairs, and sort of flank from behind. And that's a good way to keep this section defended. I would recommend keeping 1 roamer in play for sure, if not 2. And, you know, you're going to maybe want to keep them down low in these sections and allow the attackers to make their pushes. You know, maybe they'll try to breach on this wall or over here, and then you can come up behind them. If they don't come from this side, another thing you can do, if they haven't maybe come through this zone, you know, maybe they came through on the spawn in that section and they all kind of pushed up that stairs, and maybe some of them are on the outside windows. You can also create a hole here and sort of hit them from the backside, and which they may not be expecting. And you could also have come at that from, you know, maybe you're over in this side, keeping an eye on this door so that when they came to it, as we talked about in the general walkthrough, they might have tunnel vision and not even look at this wall, and then you can hit them from this side. And then, you know, once you've kind of fended off or repelled that attack, you can real quick come over here and deal with anybody that might be on that one. Moving over to the secure area mode, we have all the same defender positions except for one that's different, and that's going to be the second floor offices. So if we're in here, this is kind of a unique room in that we have a lot of threats to worry about. Any of these wooden lattices can be, you can toss a grenade right through these. It'll break just as if it were like glass or something. It'll just, you know, come through. The grenade will not be stopped by those, as I mentioned before. So you've got a few of these positions where you can get grenades coming in. You also have this dome above, and these windows the attackers can get on top of the roof and throw in any kind of grenades or cameras that they want to. So to protect yourself from any of this incoming grenade fire, you know, not to mention the destructible walls with fuse cluster charges or whatever, let's go ahead and throw in a bunch of the Jaeger ADS systems just all over the place. Try to get, you know, some good coverage going on so you can intercept a lot of that stuff. I would recommend clogging this main section up with some barbed wire or other traps, and the reason for that is that this T-zone here is going to be a very popular section for the attackers to bunch up on and try to come through this area. You can also do things like maybe try to hide, like, you know, smoke gas grenade somewhere in here, or, you know, off on the side, maybe under here or something like that, so that as they're trying to set up a charge on the door or the castle barricade, whatever you have, that they'll maybe take some preliminary damage trying to do that. Another thing that you can do is create a little murder hole on the side so that when they do push through, you can engage them from here. You can close off the archives room, or you can keep it open and then, you know, kind of close off this back section instead. And, you know, you could come up on top and do that little trick we were talking about and then look down on that window from above. Or conversely, you can open up a hole in the wall here and just be ready to intercept anybody that might try to come through that window. Then that would also allow you to, respond to somebody, maybe if you hear a door breaking behind you, especially if it's like a castle barricade or something like that. Or maybe even just set up, a trap or something on the floor or whatever. That would work pretty well. And by and large, you're going to want to be spread out. You don't want to be too much on top of each other in this room. There's a lot of space, so go ahead and spread it out. You can, maybe back here, create a bit of a murder hole so that if people come through that little window section and then as they come around that wall, you'll sort of be ready to intercept them if you need to. I've seen people reinforce this wall. I would not waste the reinforcement panel. I would instead, make sure that you've got this on these walls. The final defender spawn position we're going to cover is for hostage rescue in the second floor security room. The other 3 hostage rescue positions share similarity with the other modes, so just apply the same things there. But for this one, this is a unique spot. It's really wide open, and that creates some challenges in its own right just because there's a lot of, the angles to cover. So reinforce this exterior wall so they don't come in through here. I would also reinforce this wall as well as the other right angle to that, this wall, and this one too. You can reinforce this wall. If you don't, you leave yourself open to the possibility that they may rappel down the main atrium and come in through there. But not a lot of people do that, so if you were going to leave any walls unreinforced, I guess this would be the wall to do. But so you really got to think about how they're going to try to push into the room on this one, and that's going to define how you set up your defense. So, coming into a position like this where you can be covered by the metal desk and then watching that door and being able to just kind of pivot and respond to that window if you need to puts you in a pretty good spot. And then I would really spread your forces out as much as possible. Maybe have a second guy in here if you need to have somebody that can kind of turn and respond to either threat. But otherwise, you're going to want to concentrate on this door and any attempts to come through this section in here is really where your hot spots are going to be. So remember the things that I was talking about before. You can get up on top of here and just, shoot down on them as they come in through there. You can come over to the side of this table and get them as they come through and be ready for them there. Go ahead and set up some traps. A smoke gas grenade over here next to the door as they push through would not be a bad idea, or any kind of trap like that. Coming over on the side here is another good way to do things. You could be here and try to get ready for them, but they're going to try to push through this wall. Even if you have it reinforced, they might try to thermite it, so it just may not be a good idea to put yourself in that position. And then I would have at least one. I would have one roamer, and a good place to stick them would be back in this corner here, just kind of like laying down. And you're going to be able to make use of this in a couple of different ways. If they come through, there's a window here. They can rappel up that window and come in through there, and then you can get them. They can also come in through the archives, and if they do, they'll come through this door, and you can get them. They can also come through this door, and if they do, you can get them. Then once they've come in and they're already in, maybe they didn't even come through this zone at all, they'll probably be bunched up in this section. They might be trying to figure out how to come through this wall, maybe using thermite, or maybe they'll be kind of clustered around this door, something like that. If you're already back in this room, after a little bit of time has passed, the round has begun, they're trying to figure out how to get into the room, then you just come up and just light them up from behind, and you can probably get some good roaming kills that way. And if you've secured your early position, just make sure they don't get the drop on you while you're waiting, then you'll be all right. Now let's take a look at some of our drone access points. If we come over into the exterior parking lot alley, and just right on the side here next to this kind of pile of dust against the wall, if we come through, we're going to find ourselves in the first floor supply room. We're underneath these shelves with these tote bins, and that'll put us in there pretty quickly. Further down from that one, if we go all the way to the end on the corner, and then around here where we have this graffiti spray painted wall in the pedestrian customs area, this will put us into the first floor detention. So we're just the room next to where that other one was. Now, if we come over to the exterior east alley section, we've got a corner here that has a vent. And this is sort of an interesting one because it's a T-junction. If you come out this other one, we will be on this side. And it really doesn't matter which one you go into. It's, I don't know, it's kind of an odd thing, but you can come into either of these vents. And then this will put us into the first floor waiting room if we come through that little spot. Further down over by the exterior crash scene, we have a small vent that will take us into the back of the first floor teller's room. Also in the exterior crash site, so that was the one we just went into on that end. If we come over to the side by these sandbags and the graffiti, we can come in through here, and this actually takes us into the first floor bathrooms. And we're right next to the other end of the first floor teller's room. And this actually puts us next to one that's sort of almost a hidden one. If you come up here right behind this briefcase, there's a little drone access vent right there that's kind of hidden. It's very easy to miss if you didn't know about it. So if you were wanting to get into the workshop, that's just a really fast way to get in there. Just sort of zip in behind that briefcase. Finally, over by the exterior vehicle customs area, right below this window on the corner, so we're just kind of near where that camera pole is, coming through on the bottom, this is going to put us into the first floor ventilation room, just on the other side of this like kind of tipped over bin, and we're now in the ventilation room. It is possible to get on top of this ledge above us if we aim for this spot with the red pipes, and then sort of carefully come up a little bit, and then turn around. You can jump up on top of this, and it's not super useful, but it can be used to monitor a traffic area. You know, if they're running across from down below or up on top of this upper walkway, you can just sort of keep an eye on what's happening there. Coming into the actual armory, we have a few different spots we can go. These little folded up chairs, they have this like little lip that sticks out. These are handy for getting up on top of some of these sections, so then you can sort of boost it and make the jump up to the top here. And you can do this wherever you see those. So there's like another one on this side, and you know, pretty easily get up on top of that, and one more and you're up above again. You will break some of this wood stuff, so just kind of, you know, heads up on that. And you can get around a lot of these areas pretty easily. You can also get over here by kind of jumping on top of this little lip, and then once more will sort of put us here. We can actually get under the ladder, which covers your drone just a little bit more, and you can see both sides of the room pretty easily by splitting that difference. Another spot that you can quickly get into in the corner, once on top of the folding chair, and then again on top of this duffel bag, and then you can sit on top of there pretty easily. This ammo crate here is another one that you can easily jump on top of, and then one more will come on. There we go. See us up there. From this position, if you wanted to, you could then jump on top of this ductwork. Of course, wherever you have bookshelves are areas that you can always pretty reliably get into the little nooks and crannies on here, and you can even sort of cross jump these a little bit and get into higher positions. And those are always good for getting into some good spots. When we had that area before that we were talking about, you get up on top of the refrigerator as a defender. It's also a good place to stick a camera as an attacker. So next up, let's take a look at some of the useful positions that we can get a drone into. Now, whenever I do these videos, just you got to keep in mind that these are just a few places that you can get a drone in. There's never going to be a video that you can make that will cover every possible spot that you can get one. There's just frankly too many different kinds of creative things that you can do. And I just try to show, you know, maybe a few of the more interesting ones that especially require some jumps to get to. So we can come up here on top of some of these and position the drones in such a way that they can overlook the workroom from the top of the server racks. You can also get into the back of the workroom with all this debris going on here. There's just lots of stuff that you can get on top of pretty easily, you know, and just sit here and check out the room and kind of be easy to overlook some of these spots. Can also, if you time your jump just right, get on top of this workshop shelf and then just sit up here and look over the top of the room. Another one you can do in the passport check office is just getting up on top of the desk here. Then once more up onto this TV shelf, and then just sort of aiming intentionally at the ceiling. Now you're up on top of this ventilation duct, and you can use this as something like a highway. You can, keep a watch on the back of the teller's room. You can see a little bit into the inspection room. Coming over here, we can kind of get sort of a simultaneous view on that room plus the central hallway stairs. Come around here and see a little bit of the reverse angle into some of this. But we can also kind of come all the way over on the side here and see into the workshop, and that's a good spot that people won't be looking for too much. We also have this like little secret hidden image of a few soldiers spray painted up here. So that's just a neat little spot that you can sort of get your drone up into. In the teller section, if you wanted to, you get up on top of the microwave and then once more on top of the vending machine, and then you've got a slightly elevated vantage point to keep an eye on things there. If you wanted to keep more of an eye on the main lobby area here, you could get up on this and then sort of get a good panoramic view of anything that's happening in here. This is more of a traffic area, though, so unless they run through here, you're not going to see much. In the first floor customs inspection office, there's a few different ways to get up here, but kind of an easier one is to actually just jump on top of that and then get up over on this duffel bag on top of this bookshelf. And what you're going to do is you're just going to sort of aim right about here, and then you're going to find yourself on this little ledge. And this will act as a bit of a highway for seeing anything you want to in this room. As long as you're kind of subtle about it, you can watch down into the room you just jumped up from. You can come over and watch any of these sections. You can also use this speaker as sort of like, partial cover to conceal you at least from one side or from the other side, depending on what you want to do. You can come back over into these other areas and just keep an eye on things. And just sort of a handy little spot to get up into in this room. That wraps up all the coverage for the border map. There's a ton of angles in here, a lot of destructible features, and that creates a lot of possibilities to create new lines of sight, new ways to breach from above or below, hit them from the sides. There's all kinds of ways to come at any given area, and there's just, the corridors are twisting and the rooms are just right on top of each other. There's a lot of surface area in this map. So remember the layout as best that you can. Remember where your main objective zones are going to be and figure out the best ways in and out of those. Make sure you're aware of all the trapdoor positions and your camera positions so that you can be on top of fast ways to navigate through the level, as well as being aware of all the positions that you can keep an eye on them from. You keep in mind those kinds of things, the flow of the map and just the way the information is going to be used in the camera network and the trapdoors for getting between places. And you'll be able to make pretty short work of how to use this map to its fullest extent, especially when you understand the way that you can use destruction to get at them from all kinds of different angles. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest news and information for Rainbow Six Siege. For tips, tricks, news, information, and more, you can also follow me on IcyCat25 at either Facebook or Twitter. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll catch you next time.